Hey everybody, and welcome back to Split Couch Games. I'm Scott,
And I'm Ben.
and this is Couchcast number 66.
66. I'm sitting here getting a blank, weird stare from Scott right now.
No. So, we just had, this conversation about how, I was going to do the intro because I do the intro every time, minus a couple times. I'm pretty sure that Ben just did that so that he would throw a wrinkle in everything. So, fuck you, I guess. I don't know. Anyway. Slow news week again. As always, it's the beginning of the year, so it's kind of maybe a couple rumors, and we only really talked about we don't really like talking about rumors because there's really nothing there, but we've done it in the past because there hasn't been anything else to talk about. But Ben has come up with the topic for us today, and he's going to introduce it now.
Yeah, so I decided it would be kind of fun for us to talk about early access development hell, if you will. And this isn't in relation to any specific game. We're going to be talking about a wide variety of games, but something that I have noticed when it comes to early access games is not always, but a lot of the time you'll have a game that is in early access for a very, very long time. Far longer than what it should be. And I understand that, early access, or, if you're on Xbox, the game preview program,
does PlayStation have their own version of that?
No.
Okay.
No. No, sorry. I don't mean to laugh. Sony is... They play everything very tight to their chest. I mean, as we've come to know, they're the reason that cross-platform play isn't a thing and all that, so...
Yeah.
Anyways, they don't have a game preview program at all. So we're basically just going to be talking about Xbox and PC right now. Because obviously Nintendo doesn't do this either. So, like I was saying, I understand that, game preview and that kind of thing is a very specific market, because you're buying into something that is not complete. The problem that I've noticed being something that happens on occasion, I would say, is one of two situations. You have a game that enters early access, and it is either shown off in trailers or something to be something completely different than what it is. And then in conjunction with that, the early access builds that you have aren't the greatest vertical slice of the game. And I'm sure you know what that means, but just to explain to people who may not know what it means, when game developers are talking about a vertical slice of their game, they're basically talking about a demo, essentially, that is accurately representative of what they want the final experience to be, even though the rest of the game is still heavily under development. So some of the core systems and that kind of thing are at the very least in with some placeholder elements, and the rest of everything is solid enough that you can go okay, yeah, I get where this is going.
Yeah.
So, to recap, since I've talked a lot since then, one issue of early access development I've seen is it's advertised as Thing A, and then you get Thing B, but it's not really Thing B. It's more like Thing B asterisk with a in 3 years it's going to actually be Thing B. And then on the flip side, you have the people that are true to what they advertise and everything, but they stay in early access for a very long time.
Yeah.
And again, these two things don't apply to everybody, because, I mean, obviously, PUBG was, put into early access on PC a little under a year ago, I think. Wasn't it like back
I think
in...
it released in March. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the final release happened at the end of December.
Yeah. So it's this obviously isn't applying to every early access game.
Mm-hmm.
But there are just like some specific examples that I feel like this applies to. And I figured it would be fun to talk about, like, in your opinion, does a game advertising as one thing and then actually being something else, regardless of, but let me start that thought over. Because it wasn't making any sense, even in my brain. Is it okay for something like We Happy Few to have a E3 announcement trailer and everything that shows it off as something very BioShock-esque?
Yeah.
And then going into early access, and, you know, on Xbox, they at least have, like, the free demo. I don't know that they do that on PC. But you can, like, play the game for, like, 2 hours, I think, before you decide to actually buy into the early access program. So on Xbox, like, the chance of getting duped by having something advertised to you as something else is much lower, I think. But do you think that's okay? Like, to essentially advertise as one thing and then go like, well, actually, like, this thing that kind of looked BioShock-esque is actually more of, like, some weird open-world, quest-driven RPG with, like, an inventory system and
Wait,
upgrades.
that's what that ended up being?
Yep.
All right. Well, okay. All right. I remember the trailer being so awesome too.
Right?
Anyway, to answer your question, I mean, I think false advertising or misleading advertisement is obviously wrong. Like, I don't think, like, that, regardless of whether it's early access or not early access, like, if you're like, hey, this is what this is going to be, then, like, but then it turns out to be something completely different, then there's something wrong there. It's not, because it's like those things are actually, like, in the game. And most recently, I don't know if you remember the controversy for the movie Mother, where it was, like, kind of marketed, like, the trailers and everything made it seem like it was going to be a horror thriller kind of movie, but it ended up actually just being, like, a really, like, tame, like, biblical story allegory, like.
Okay. I don't remember that, no.
Yeah, it was like the Jennifer Lawrence movie with Javier Bardem.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was. I was completely shocked because I was like, I don't do horror movies, so I was like, I'm not really that interested, even though, like, there's amazing actors in there, and it seemed interesting. And then, like, my friend went to see it, and I was like, what? Biblical allegory? So, like all of the clips from the trailer were in there, but they were edited to look like something else. Yeah. So, like, I don't think you can, like, say legally that it's false advertising, and which is against FCC rules.
Yeah.
But, like, and it's definitely misrepresentative of what the experience is.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like that's basically what happened with We Happy Few.
Yeah.
Because, and I mean, I want to be perfectly transparent. I played, like, my first 2 hours around when the game first went into early access. So a ton of work has changed, essentially, like, the last bit, or the majority of the game. But from what I understand, it is still kind of like an open world, quest-driven RPG-ish type thing. And not a BioShock-esque game where, you know, it's, like, very linear, you have a set path, and it's, you know, kind of creepy.
Well, I mean, well, I guess that is the point of BioShock. Spoiler alert, that it is linear. But, I mean, like, this, like, is the aesthetic and kind of, like, the creepy vibe not there at all, or is that...
It wasn't in what I played. And I think it's been in early access for 2 years now, approximately. And when I played it, it definitely did not have that. It it felt like there was a lot missing. So I can't really say with any sort of certainty whether or not that holds true to this day.
So I think that the bigger thing that like I have issue with like We Happy Few as an early access title is that like story driven content really shouldn't be early access. Like early access really lends itself to PvP or cooperative experiences like Ark or PUBG, like because story, like if it's telling a story, like that story needs to be finished, needs to be exact, like so carefully crafted that like early access ruins that.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree to a certain extent. But at the same time, I kind of completely understand the mentality of like, well, if you want to play the game for the story, then maybe buy it while it's in early access if you want to have a chance at saving money or whatever. Sure. And then just wait to play it. And that's kind of a really crappy way to look at it. And well, yeah, I don't really agree with it because you know me, like I'm a huge story person. I love like the lore in video games and everything. Like story is why I play games. Yeah. So I get where you're coming from, but I don't feel like a story-driven game shouldn't be allowed to be in early access.
Sure. I mean, like there's definitely like I'm sure that there's some ways that it could work out and everything like that. Like I really hate dealing in absolutes, as you know. So like to say that it doesn't work out, but it seems like just really kind of
like they're potentially doing more harm than good by letting people that may be interested in the story seeing essentially like a bare bones version of the game and then becoming disinterested, which is honestly what happened to me.
Which happened to you and probably happened to other people. And I don't have as much faith in other gamers as I have in you that like if you know once it's finally released like the reviews come out and they're like this was really good, this is what it's like, I imagine that you would give it a second chance. But I think the average gamer that saw the E3 trailer and was like, oh, I'm excited to try this, and then it's like, oh, early access, and then it's like, this is not what I wanted, and then never think about that game again.
Yeah, I mean, if there were going to be a reason why I don't give it another chance, it would be because it is not what it appeared to be.
Sure.
Because I mean, like the trailers and everything, they technically are in the game. It's just quite literally like the first 5-10 minutes of the game is that trailer. And then like you end up like diving through a door and you get knocked out and then you wake up in like this fucking like weird cave thing.
Yeah.
And again, like this all may have changed a lot. I haven't played the game in a very long time because I didn't actually buy it. I just played my demo time and that was it. But like you wake up in like this like cave underground bunker kind of thing, and then you fiddle around in there for a little bit, and then you go up a ladder, and then you're like in this town that's like this weird kind of it looks very BioShock-esque in the sense that like people are living in like depravity with like fires and barrels, and they're like eating bugs and rats and crap. Excellent. But because they are on the drug called joy, like they don't see it that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was all just very strange, and I feel like you were saying, because I was allowed to see it so early, that has made me uninterested in the story and everything. And I don't know, because I don't feel like there should ever be a rule put in place where, you know, like if it's story-driven content, like you can only show this much, or you have to be at this point in development in order to put it on there or something, because then you're limiting the benefit of those programs to the developers. And that's obviously not something we want. I think, and this is clearly communicated on the Xbox side of things. I don't know about on, PC and everything, but when you are purchasing an early access title, like it is made very clear, like, hey, this is early access. It does not represent the final product.
Yeah.
But it is guaranteed to come out at some point.
Yeah. On Steam, it has a similar message. It's like right under, like, I don't know how many Steam games you've bought in your life, but like you kind of have like your marketing trailers and pictures at the top, and then like right underneath it, I think even before it launches into the description, or it might be just after the description of the game.
So where like pre-order banners would be and everything, if it was pre-order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like it's even bigger than that. It's like
okay.
massive blue box, and it's like, this game is in early access. This is
gotcha.
A work in work in progress, and yada yada. Progress is a hard word,
evidently.
Apparently. Anyway, so I mean, yeah, like I completely agree. Like, we don't want to, like, it's a very useful tool for a lot of developers, because it's like, hey, maybe we run out of money and we need to like get some influx of cash, so here's an early access build for you guys to play around in, or whatever the case may be. There's clear benefits to it, but I think you're right in that like some people take advantage of that, where they're like, hey, this is early access, and by early access we mean like you're
funding our development over the next like 5 years.
Yeah. And I mean, I think there's definitely a trade-off, or like a point where, like, even though Ark Survival Evolved was like in early access for a long time, I still think that like for the majority of that development time, it was a $30 game that was worth buying. Like, I
have some interesting opinions about Ark.
Okay, well, I mean, I played it like very briefly at a friend's house and like watched a couple of Let's Plays. So like my knowledge of it's not great, but it seemed fun. Well,
it is fun, but like my biggest problem was essentially that, and it's been quite a while since I've played it, so maybe this aspect was patched out or something, because the game's finally released now, so I would be kind of shocked if they didn't change this at some point during early access. But it was basically like, if you didn't get on and play like every couple of days, all your stuff would basically be lost. So like there was like no way to save your progress outside of constantly playing the game. So for me, like, that really sucks, because I have a life and a full-time job and everything like that. So
I guess the question is Ark permadeath or not permadeath?
It's not permadeath, but I don't know if it still does this, but in the earlier days of early access, when I played it a lot, your character was tied to the server. So if you tried to log on during time when you had time and the server was full, like, screw you, like, you're out of luck.
Correct.
So like, instead of characters being tied to a profile, like, it was all tied to the server. And even then, like, I can only imagine that if a character wasn't tied to the server and it was tied to your profile or something, that's all well and good, but unless there's a way to be like, oh, and you take all of your shit with you.
Yeah. Well, so what happens when you die? Like, what happens when you die, though? Like, do you just start with nothing?
Yeah, you respawn and you have absolutely nothing on your character. So you have to go find your body and pick up all your shit.
Yeah. So I think, like, that's a very... I have to, like, think back or like look back on like release dates and everything, but I think that Ark was coming out, or like basically at the height of DayZ's popularity, and that was one of the big selling points for DayZ, that like if you died, you lost all your stuff and you had to start over from the beginning.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with like that idea of like semi permadeath. It's just more of like, if I don't play for a week.
Yeah, but like that's the thing though, is that like if it is like that hardcore of a game, and you're just like sitting on a bunch of loot, come back like a week later, then like that's potentially breaking the game. I think it may have been a design decision that like they don't want you to be on a server and like holding on to stuff on that server forever.
Well,
like
in Ark, at least as far as I experienced, the resources are not finite.
Sure.
So like it's literally just like every so often, like everything will respawn.
Yeah.
So and like everything is crafted and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I mean, it's all a little messy, but I mean, we're kind of getting like way off topic.
Oh, come on, Ben. We're still at least talking about an early access title. Like, could have been worse.
That's true.
Earlier, I was talking about a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that like I had a thought. I don't have the thought anymore.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So the next question I was going to ask you is, when it comes to early access,
it's dumb.
Do you what?
It's dumb. I don't know. I was
do you think developers should be allowed to stay in early access as long as they see fit? Because as far as I know, and I could be wrong about this, but as far as I know, there are no limitations to how long they remain in early access.
I think it depends on
whether or not they're actually improving the game.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like early access, at a certain point it becomes a really like doesn't matter like that a game is called early access. Like towards like the last month of PUBG and like the time that it was released, nothing really changed. Like there was a UI change,
totally,
but like there was no reason why it couldn't have been released and be like, hey, this is 1.0. Like it was like, I think it was an arbitrary date. They were like, yeah, we said we were going to get it out 2017, so we're releasing it today.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still like, my friend and I, we still deal with some crash issues on the PC version. So like, it's not like it's a completely stable product or anything like.
Totally. I mean, there's never going to be a game that is completely stable.
Sure.
But I mean, I guess to add a little more detail or stipulation to the question is like, if a game has been in early access and stable in early access for like a year or more, do you think they should be essentially like kicked out of early access and just be like, your game is a game now, like quit fucking around?
It like potentially like, because the point of what I was trying to make there was that like early access at a certain point just stops meaning anything, right? Because like you've already put like so much time into the game. It's like it's pretty polished. It's a fully functional game at that point. At a certain point, I don't know what like you're messing with. Like you're like making last minute changes. I don't know. Like it really kind of depends on the project, because I don't know. I feel like if a developer is in early access, they have a reason to be remaining in early access, because people don't like the title of early access as much anymore. Like they're very wary of it. They're like, I don't know, we've been bitten before by early access. So like staying with that like can't really be helping sales. Like I don't know. It is a tough question. Like I could definitely see like a time limit. Like, hey, if you are not making, or if like you don't have major features being put out or something like that, then maybe like for like a year or whatever, then like like that's a sign of like, hey, your game is a game at this point. But if you're still like adding like health systems or whatever, like periodically, then like that's getting it ready to be a quote unquote full release.
Yeah. I mean, that question for me stemmed from Ark Survival Evolved specifically. Just because I did play it a lot when it first came out, and then I played it
on the
like
PC version or on the Xbox version. Yeah.
yeah. To be clear, on the Xbox version, I played it a decent amount when it first came out. Like I put like probably 15, 20 hours into it over the course of like 3 days, which is a lot for me working a full-time job and all that kind of crap. But then over like the coming months and years, I only played it a handful of other times, and obviously like it didn't really go much beyond that because like every single time I had to basically restart, which sucked tremendously. So I don't know how much updating was being done to what could constitute as the end game. But during that time, they released at least one, if not multiple, DLCs for the game. So, do you think at that point where, like, you're releasing additional content that you have to buy separately, do you think at that point they should have essentially been, like, kicked out the door and be like, no. No.
Yeah, that seems a little silly. That seems like, that's gaming the system.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay.
And like I feel like because Ark was under fire because it went up from like a $30 game or $40 or whatever to $60 like overnight, right? On release.
I think so, yeah.
Which I don't know. People are silly for not like if they wanted to buy it, then just buy it. I don't know. Like they're like upset enough that like as soon as like it was announced and like actually fully released, they were like, "What? I was gonna buy it for $30." Like,
well, why didn't you?
Yeah. Like,
yeah. Well, to be fair,
like as an early access title, you're like you don't really want like if you're just like adamantly against early access, sure, like you're obviously not gonna buy it. But
yeah,
if you know that you're gonna buy the game, just buy the fucking game. Like,
yeah, but to be fair, not everyone has the luxury of being able to just like drop money and buy something. Like
sure.
As a kid growing up, obviously I didn't have to worry about the whole like digital distribution thing. But like if I got $20-$30 for my birthday, or I knew I was going to get that for my birthday from my grandma or something like that, then I would go and take that and buy myself something. So like if this was a situation of like, my birthday's like in a month and then Ark Survival Evolved launches like the next day and I hadn't managed to purchase it yet or something, like I'd be like, this is really fucking shitty because now I don't have enough money.
Yeah.
So I get why people complained.
Yeah.
But I also kind of like I'm kind of in the same camp of like it was $30 for like 2 years or longer.
Yeah. It was,
maybe you should have purchased it during that time. But
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think definitely like some, like you kind of mentioned, like some regulation on what's allowed to be an early access title. Maybe like it's put upon like Steam and Xbox. I guess like I think those are the only two like really official sources. Like I mean I know that like there's like GoFundMe's and stuff. And obviously Star Citizen, but Star Citizen is its own thing.
Yeah, Star Citizen is it's going to get to a point where it is literally its own giant just like universe of gamingness. Like that's how big Star Citizen is at this point. Like it's just a massive exception to the rule.
But yeah, so I mean like maybe it's upon them to like require like feature check-in or something like that, but I don't think that any of them want to deal with that kind of stuff, like policing it.
Yeah. And I mean I know that with Xbox, probably not with Steam, since I know that the rules are a little bit more lax over there, but with Xbox, like I would imagine that any build that gets released on their early access titles still has to go through cert.
That's expensive.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they have to do that with Steam. But hello. Wait.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, my system's doing weird shit. I don't even know.
Well, Ben's system is doing weird shit. Is there anything like it? We might as well wrap this up. We're about 30 minutes in.
No, I mean, I feel like we covered it pretty well. We could probably talk about this for hours and hours and hours as we sidetrack from one thing to another. But
I mean, we could talk. We could do that with pretty much any topic. So,
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean,
the moment you start talking about sports, I start drooling, and then everything's over.
Well, I mean, okay, fine. Video game related topic, okay? Jesus Christ. Anyway, I was gonna start talking about sports, but you don't care.
Nope, I really don't. I really don't. As a matter of fact, last Sunday I had completely forgotten that the sports ball convention was going on.
It was a really good game. It was, and like the Patriots lost. That's all that.
Yeah, and then an entire city rioted, causing massive amounts of destruction because sports. Everybody.
No. That's Philadelphia. That is Philadelphia.
It's not the first time it's happened, though.
I know, but like when Seattle won the Super Bowl, I think like
Seattle is like a pocket of like weird, polite perfection, and you know it.
Yeah, I know. So I'm saying like it's not the sports ball's fault. It's the people. Like I think like when Seattle won the Super Bowl, the biggest thing is like a couch got like sawn in half. Like that was like the only thing.
I'm pretty sure Seattle made the like national news because like our parade of people literally stopped at a crosswalk and waited. Yeah. Like we were all like, yeah, and then lights red. Hold on. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So. Couple things. This is coming out on Wednesday, the 14th.
Yes,
and
Valentine's Day.
That means that on Thursday is our 2-year anniversary of this channel when we released our first video. Or first Let's Play. Like our first video was the channel trailer, which was lovely. Lovingly scripted.
I mean, the first episode wasn't really a whole lot better, so...
I mean, I think that we can safely say the trailer was better than the first episode. It really...
Maybe?
I think the channel trailer was one of the best things that we did for like at least the first few weeks. Anyway, so our first official Let's Play launched on February 16th of 2015.
On the 16th?
February 15th. February 15th. Yep. Yeah. Of 20... Was it 16? It would have been 16. I can math.
Yes, yes, it would have been 2016.
I didn't sleep well last night. Anyway.
Clearly, you're struggle busting all over.
But yeah, so there's going to be a special vlog type thing for tomorrow. To talk about us as a channel.
And stuff and things.
Look out for that.
If you're interested. You may not be.
Even if you're not interested, just check it out and just be like, hey. It's them talking about the channel.
Anyways, we will see you guys next time on
time.
Split Couch Games.
Fuck you.
Beat you to it, bitch.
We'll see you guys next time on Split Couch Games. Bye.
Bye.